Bitcoin is the talk of the town, right? The ETF's launching. Everyone's got their eyes on it. But Dave Portnoy has an interesting story with Bitcoin and his journey, I guess, with what he did. Some of the things he did was pretty insane. We all know like the basic story of him buying Bitcoin when the Winklevi came and told him at like 11K. Then it went down a little bit. He said he didn't get it, sold it at a loss. Then it rallied and he was missed out. And he talks about stuff that he did that was just insane. Like, I guess you could call it bad luck or just kind of being lazy on his part, but he talks about it.
I think it started like 5 years ago. I made a video. I'm like, I don't fucking understand Bitcoin at all. People mining it from the clouds. Everyone's getting rich. I see douchebags with bees on their license plates. Like, what the fuck's this guy? Where's all his money coming from? I didn't get it.
I gotta talk Bitcoin real quick. I don't even know what a Bitcoin is. You like mine Bitcoins on the ground on the internet? I literally don't know what that means. What is Bitcoin?
So obviously it's just the start, right? But I think that this whole video, this whole Dave Portnoy story is just similar to like everyone who gets involved in Bitcoin. I think everyone goes through the same stages. Similarly, right? You first hear about Bitcoin, say, I don't really get it, whatever, forget about it. And then like a few years later, or maybe a couple years later, it comes back up and you see this Bitcoin thing that you once heard about is worth exponentially more than when you heard about it. And then you look at it and say, what is this thing? What is going on? And then you actually start to dive into it and go through the journey here. And everyone pays a different tuition. Everyone has different amounts of money to put in there and lose and essentially and make mistakes with. And it just so happens that Dave Portnoy just ended up making mistakes with vastly more amounts of money than what normal people would do because he has so much more money than everyone else.
And they walked me through buying Bitcoin. I bought, I think, like 500,000 of it at a time, maybe more, at 11,000. And they're talking and they're talking. And they're trying to explain why it matters. And I'm like, well, Elon Musk is going to go out of space and he's going to mine gold from outer space. Gold will rain plentiful down on Earth, making gold useless, and Bitcoin will be the only thing that matters.
So there's billions of dollars of gold floating on asteroids around this planet, and Elon's going to get up there and start mining gold, and then it's going to
Frank, you hear this?
fall from the sky
What
and be as plentiful as sand.
I don't know if you're serious.
And I think that this is what normally happens with a lot of people, right? It's someone new to Bitcoin who wants to learn about it, asking someone who has been around it or, seems like they know what they're talking about, probably know what they're talking about most times. And then that person just goes overboard because they're excited about Bitcoin and they know all this stuff and are deep into this like Bitcoin information and rabbit hole that they just spew out everything and say, this is going to happen, this is going to happen. Bitcoin or gold's going to be mined from the space, from asteroids. It's going to come down to Earth. There's going to be more gold than there is on sand. And it just goes crazy. And, it could be true, right? I mean, there is gold up there. Elon Musk will probably at some point get up there and mine it, or somebody will. And the value of gold will go down because there'll be drastically more. But to say that and be the first thing you hear, and these people talking about this, regular Bitcoiners, you're going to look at it and say, these guys are crazy. Like, this is insane, and probably scare more people off than bring them in. And then it just takes them more time to get involved into Bitcoin again. So that's kind of what we see with Dave. He's living the journey that everyone who gets involved in Bitcoin has to do at some point.
Leave my apartment. I buy it for 11,000. I hold on to it for, I don't know, a day or two, but I'm like, these fucking guys, and I sell it. And I'm like, I don't get it. I don't know what the fuck they just said, but I don't buy that. I'm not going to invest in something I don't know about. It goes Bitcoin from 11,000 to like, I don't know, 40, 50, 60,000, like in a blink of an eye. So I'm purple. I want to puke. I'm like, you fucking idiot, Dave. Like, you fucking idiot.
That fucking explanation from the Winklevosses fucked with my mind. I was just like, I got to get out. I don't understand it. And then I got out and it went ballistic. And now I'm sitting here like a fool. I get it. I wish I was in. Is that what you want me to say?
So again, the typical event of Bitcoin humbling people, right? It just does the opposite. When you get scared or something, you sell it all, it rallies, and you have to sit there on the sideline. But to Dave's credit, right, this is where different types of people are created against Bitcoin or for Bitcoin. Is they get introduced to it at a certain price, they watch that price skyrocket, and then they get all upset and say, this thing's worthless, it shouldn't be worth that much money, this is insane. And you look at the Peter Schiffs of the world and how they talk, and the perma bears of Bitcoin. Typically there's someone who got introduced to Bitcoin and saw it at a much lower price than where it is today, and just can't believe that they missed it and that they weren't smart enough, and everything has to be wrong because they can't be wrong. So to Dave's credit, at least he's not doing that route, right? He's not going against it saying this thing is stupid and it's worthless. He's at least taking more of an approach of he knows that he should have some, but just is confused as to whether or not he should because of how he's gotten burned in the past. And burned basically from his own decisions, right? Bitcoin didn't burn him, but he just made bad decisions. And then Dave Portnoy does his second attempt at buying Bitcoin, right? And this one, honestly, a better stance than what he had before, right? He bought it because someone else told him to, and then sold it because he said he didn't get it, and then watched it rally. This time, he's buying it with the idea never to sell it, hold it forever. If it goes to zero, it goes to zero. And I think that's the approach everyone should have, is just buy and hold forever. So he's doing at least that right, but he still makes some mistakes.
I'm in hands. I'm going to buy 1.2 million of Bitcoin. I'm never going to sell it. I'm going to hold on to it forever. I do it on Gemini because I still have the Gemini set up from the Winklevosses because that's their platform. That's their exchange from when they came to my house in the Hamptons. Enter SPF, that fucking Looney Tune fuck. And what, FTX goes bankrupt, guy's a fraud, and he crashes. All, people losing their Bitcoin, and everyone's emailing me being like, Gemini's next, the Winklevosses are next. Well, I start getting scared. So I go into my account and I just test it. Can I still cash out a little if I had to? I can, no problems. Kudos to the Winklevosses, their platform exchange held up.
This is where the knowledge maybe or studying of Bitcoin and kind of knowing a little bit more about it comes into play here, right? Where what he should have done is, instead of selling some to see if he could sell it and pull out the money, he should have just withdrew the Bitcoin, right? He should have just put it on cold storage. Don't have to worry about the exchange going down because you have your coins. If Gemini fails, doesn't matter. You have your Bitcoin. It's fine. You don't have to take on the counterparty risk. That's one of the biggest things of Bitcoin, one of the biggest positives from it. But obviously, the knowledge gap there, not really studying it and just kind of owning this because you think it's going up in value, that's the difference here. This is where, more people who are heavily involved in Bitcoin, who own it and self-custody and do this stuff, research it, stay up to date with it, stay in the news cycle, know what self-custody is and seed phrases, cold storage, the difference between, holding on an exchange and holding it in cold storage. And that is what screwed Dave, because he is absolutely right to be sitting there and watch FTX collapse and think, oh my God, these exchanges aren't safe. What happens to my money? Absolutely the right thought process there, but the wrong response. You shouldn't have test sold it to see if you could sell some. You should just withdrew all of your Bitcoin to cold storage, and you don't have to worry anymore. When you want to sell it, you can send it to exchange and sell it. You don't have to worry about the counterparty risk of holding your Bitcoin on an exchange.
And now there's all this buzz about Bitcoin again. I'm wearing the shirt. You got the ETFs launching today. I'm let me go into my account and see where I'm at, because I know it's at 42. I bought it at 32,000, $1 million. It went down to 20. That's where I got nervous because of exchanges crashing. I didn't want to get my money caught. I'm a fucking idiot. What I did is I transferred all my Bitcoin into cash. I didn't take it out. I was just leaving it in there. I thought it was in Bitcoin. No, I turned it all into cash. So, and this is at 20. So I have 400 grand in an account that I put 1.1, 1.2 million into. And I haven't gotten any of the wave back up to 43, brother. Everything I do with Bitcoin, I get fucked in my baby blue eyeballs. What am I supposed to do now? Buy it at 44? I bought it at 32. I fucking cashed out at 20 by accident. And I didn't mean to cash out. I wouldn't have left the money just sitting there like a fucking dick face.
So the big mistake number 2 for Dave, selling all of his Bitcoin instead of a portion of it to test selling, I guess, and end up selling all of it, holding it in cash at a loss, and then not realizing that he doesn't get to, ride the wave up to where he would have been making money, would have been positive. So I do think that this is a journey that a lot of people go through. 99% of people in Bitcoin go through things like this and the problems. either sending Bitcoin to the wrong place, losing that forever, keeping Bitcoin on an exchange, not knowing that there's counterparty risk there, losing it in like FTX, Celsius, Voyager, those types of things, and not doing the research that you should have done that you now will do, hopefully, and seeing about self-sovereignty, cold storage, holding your own keys. You know, those things are important. And Dave's realizing that firsthand. He's doing it with astronomically more money than what most people would do, but he can also afford that, right? Dave's got hundreds of millions of dollars. He's good. He's got the money, but he should hopefully learn a lesson from this. Dive a little bit more into Bitcoin, learn more about it, learn about cold storage. There's a lot of people like getting that type of education and info is a lot easier now than it used to be in the past. And hopefully that's the road Dave goes down instead of becoming a perma bear and hating Bitcoin like a lot of people before who make these mistakes, go into Bitcoin's worthless. Oh my God, this is insane. Look at Peter Schiff. He knew about Bitcoin when it was $1. And you can imagine watching it trading at over 40,000 now, that sitting there and knowing that you could have gotten those insane gains but didn't, probably makes you really dislike whatever asset it is. Hopefully Dave jumps back in, buys more Bitcoin, and learns about cold storage, moves it to cold storage, learns about that and holds it there, and then maybe continues to learn about, you know, what Bitcoin really is, what's the fundamentals behind Bitcoin, and we'll see, right? But this is a journey basically everyone goes through. He just did it with a lot more money. That's going to do it for this video. As always, don't forget to smash the button and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in my next video.